Allan Saxe, Professor Allan Saxe on the line right now. Professor Allan Saxe is a political science professor at the University of Texas at Arlington. Professor, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Thank you very much.
So a lot happening here with health care and what's going to happen? What are your thoughts? Are people going to lose their health care?
Some may lose their health care under the new plan.
Yeah.
Some may. But a lot of times under the old Obamacare, people had an insurance policy, but they couldn't use it very well. So they had it. It sounds great when you look at it. How many people got onto Obamacare?
Right.
Lots. But then when they found out that their premiums were so high and their deductibles were so high that it was not useful to them. So it's one thing to have the policy, but can you use it?
Yeah.
And that, I think, was a big issue. I think one of the best features of the new rollout, and it's going to be in three phases, 1, 2, and 3. And it's very difficult, I think, for me and the public to grab on it.
Right.
Politicians and the media talk about these things as if we know about them. They use phrases like reconciliation. What in the world does that mean?
Right, right.
Now I know, but it took me a while. This phase has to pass by 50 votes. This one by 60 votes or 51 votes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what does that mean, So much of this debate is so arcane and obtuse, and the old Obamacare read very much like a tax bill
right.
as it did a health bill. So it's a difficult thing to wade through. The best parts that are gone, or not the best parts, it's a strange phrase, the parts that are gone from the new bill, you're not going to be penalized anymore if you do not buy health insurance.
Right.
You'll have the freedom. You assume the responsibility, but you're not going to be penalized. Many of the taxes on issues on medical equipment that people didn't even know about are now going to be lifted, and that's an important thing.
Well, this is kind of like this would be a tax. You get a tax break, right?
That's
in order to now, that's going to be very interesting. But I got to tell you, conservatives don't want that.
That's right. It is a battle between the conservatives who are saying this new rollout, and this is the first of three phases, is Obamacare Light, they call it.
Yeah.
And they may be onto something. We didn't get rid of Obamacare by these bills. We just took the old Obamacare, took some stuff out, added some good stuff onto it, I believe, and that's where we are. The conservatives wanted it completely gone. And by the way, if that would have happened, and maybe that's what the Republicans should have done, just let it melt.
Yeah.
And it was melting. Here in Texas, we have 254 counties. 1/3 of those counties were down to one insurance carrier. They were leaving. A lot of doctors were leaving. Physicians, for a number of reasons, maybe not just because of Obamacare, but just the complexities of modern medicine. As far as the paperwork is concerned, they were leaving. So a lot of people were saying, let it melt and then start all over again. But then President Trump would have been accused of being irresponsible. How can you let this melt without putting something in its place? So they were caught. So it's going to be rolled out in three phases. I think phase 1 is going to pass. Then we have two other parts. The interstate sale of insurance policies is going to be a part of one of these, I think part 3. And by the way, President Trump is going to be down in Tennessee this week discussing Obamacare and also its replacement. And I think that's a good thing.
It is interesting because it could be, in order to get this thing passed, because there are some conservatives they're saying the votes aren't there. But they might be able to coerce some Democrats to come on board here.
That's right.
This passed.
They may be able to pull a few Democrats over, but I think they just want President Trump to be in a quandary and to make him look bad. So it's going to be difficult to pull, I think, some Democrats over to vote. But I think it's going to pass. But it's going to be a very, very close shot.
Right.
But if it doesn't pass, then the old Obamacare is just going to dwindle. It's going to implode.
Right.
And then we're stuck. In fact, Speaker Ryan actually mentioned that, I believe, that if it goes down, we are really in a pickle. Those are my words.
Okay. All right, Professor. Very interesting to see what happens. It's going to be a busy week on this issue. I'm not sure, though, that it gets fixed this week. I'm not sure we get done with it this week, but
It may not. I'm curious to see what the president's going to say in Nashville, I think, later on during the week.
All right, cool. All right, Professor Allan Saxe, thanks so much. We appreciate it.